Tell Us About Yourself is sponsored by bonusround.ca, streaming Canada's classic game shows on demand. Dive into the golden age of television with thousands of episodes of Canadian series that defined an era from anywhere in the world, all for just $1.99 a month. From iconic shows like Let's Make a Deal and Definition to cult classics like Bumper Stumpers and The Mad Dash, bonusround.ca brings you timeless entertainment that's fun, enlightening, and affordable. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, relive the magic of Canadian television history. Subscribe now at bonusround.ca for $1.99, download the free Bonus Round app on iOS, Android, and Roku, and turn every night into game show night. And by The Inn at Leola Village. Nestled in the heart of picturesque Pennsylvania, The Inn at Leola Village is a sanctuary of luxury and relaxation. Indulge in the timeless beauty of their historic suites, each meticulously designed to transport you to a bygone era of elegance and grace. Experience the culinary delights of their award-winning Italian restaurant, where every dish is a masterpiece crafted from the finest local ingredients. From romantic getaways to corporate retreats, the Inn at Leola Village offers a haven for every occasion. Unwind at the spa, stroll through the lush gardens, and let the stress of everyday life melt away. Make your reservation today at theinnatleolavillage.com or call the front desk at area code 717-656-7002. The Inn at Leola Village, an oasis of luxury. Tell Us About Yourself, Conversations with Game Show Contestants is produced in partnership with the Strong National Museum of Play in Rochester, New York, one of the largest history museums in the United States, and one of the leading museums serving families with highly interactive exhibits and programs. Since 1968, the Strong Museum has been dedicated to exploring the ways in which play encourages learning, creativity, and discovery, and how it illuminates cultural history. And their National Archives of Game Show History. Founded by industry veterans Bob Bowden and Howard Blumenthal, the archive is home to thousands of artifacts representing over 80 years of broadcasting, including props, set designs, video interviews with game show professionals, and other iconic elements from the history of television at play. For more information about the National Archives of Game Show History or the Strong National Museum of Play, visit museumofplay.org or call area code 585-263-2700.
Blue 35.
Tell us about yourself, would you?
Tell us something about you.
For any new viewers, why don't you tell us again about yourself?
We've met before, but let's meet again. Tell us about yourself.
What else can you tell us about yourself?
Perhaps you'd fill us in again and tell us about yourself.
AGT champion and winner of $1 million is Christian Carrion!
My name is Richard Goodall from Terre Haute, Indiana. I am 55 years old, and I've been a janitor slash custodian for 23 plus years. I won season 19 of America's Got Talent. Totally amazing people show. Would not trade a single second of my experience with the show.
Richard, I've had the pleasure of talking to over 100 contestants so far for this show. And one of the questions that comes up occasionally is the idea of opportunities presenting themselves in ways that seem like they're being controlled by a higher power. Now, I know you worked as a janitor for a couple decades, and you would sing to yourself while on the job, and eventually a video of yourself singing "Don't Stop Believing" went viral. Um, how do you feel about that intersection of your day-to-day life and this insane world of show business and music and viral fame? How do you think that came about? Is it luck or is it something else?
I think there's an element of luck to it. Uh, but also the thing that I love most about my time on the show is it all started out organically. If it wasn't for the internet, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I was just doing what I always did. I still do to this day, is sing to the kids. And then a viral video goes out, and I'm just doing what I always do. And I got noticed. I got dropped from season 18 and then refound for season 19. And for whatever reason, season 18 wasn't my time. And season 19 was my moment to be out there, and for whatever reason. And I'm gratefully and eternally grateful for anything and everything that has happened to me on the show and otherwise. I've never had any expectations. I've always just went out there and did what I do and sing. And if you like it, absolutely great. If you didn't, then I understand.
It's funny, I find that contestants on competition shows and talent shows, I find that their acts do better when they are like you, where they're humble, everyday people that happen to have this extraordinary talent. I think about people like Susan Boyle, and even on a different end of the spectrum, people like William Hung from American Idol, who I got to talk to a few months ago. How did the sudden fame sit with you? How did you manage that sudden change in circumstances? I think that some people get very nervous and kind of self-critical when it comes to suddenly being in the public eye. How did you make that transition?
I've always been a people person. I've always, I mean, my job revolves around kids and people. I mean, if I'm not dealing with the kids during holidays or gatherings, the parents and grandparents and teachers are all coming in the building, and they're all doing something. And I love people in general, so the fame part doesn't bother me. My wife, she's a people person, but she's not a crowd person like multiple people. And so she's kind of staying behind the scenes, but loving every second of, that everything that has come out of the show. Um, but as far as people go, I love taking pictures, signing autographs, and I still don't get it, but I'm just doing what I've always done. And luckily, I've had a lot of people that I've done stuff with, but never dreamed on this scale of everything happening the way it has.
And had that level of fame, or fame in general, had that been on your roadmap at any point, even before you worked as a janitor? I've talked to so many contestants who've had that desire to perform, from way back, and it's not until they get a chance to be on a show like America's Got Talent or something similar that they get to show that off. Yeah, had you ever had aspirations of being a performer?
No, never at any point did I ever. I mean, I've always wanted to perform, but it's not been a drive of me to be famous or be noticed. It's more of a music and people thing than it is a hey, here I am, notice me type thing. Um, the thing is each song that I sing is a time capsule into, people's lives, especially us Gen Xers. It takes you back to a point in time. I mean, just like "Don't Stop Believing." I mean, I've had hundreds of comments of, "Oh man, I was in college when that song came out," or when I sang "Faithfully," it reminds me of my first girlfriend. That's what all this is about. Yeah, I'm very thankful for the money that came out of it. But with that being said, at the end of the day, I mean, if you really stop and think about it, it's about music and people. And I think I've handled it okay. I mean, because it doesn't bother me. So no, I'm good.
I wonder if you could reflect for a minute on what performing brings to you. I, I'm a person who puts out a show every week, and I try not to concern myself with what people think about it. I hope people like it, and I try to do the best I can. But part of why I do what I do is definitely for that, for the exposure and the approval and the idea that people like what I do. If that isn't as important to you an element as just performing in general, what does singing, what does music bring to you as a person?
What does music bring to me as a person? The pure joy of listening to the music. And if I can even remotely sound like or professionally, I've never thought of myself with my name and the word professional in those two brackets, but in those, but music for I think anybody is a respite to everything that's going on around them, and I think that's why people buy concert tickets, because they want to remember things as they were, but also live in the moment and check out. I think music gives people an opportunity to just check out. If it's just dancing in the middle of your front room floor or going to a concert and listening to somebody perform it to you, music means a lot to me. It always has. It's given me a break, a moment to, get away from, the day to day things that go on in our world. So it's about the music and the people for me. I mean, money's great, and I'm very thankful and grateful for that, any and all opportunities that come our way. But for me, music it means a lot. It gives us a chance to just, take a breath.
Well, that's a great point that you make as well about it being sort of an escape. I think that's why shows like America's Got Talent are popular as well, because they are an escape from the goings on of the day. I mean, it's something that at the end of the day, you can kind of sit with your family and watch something like America's Got Talent. It has that value as sort of family entertainment. And for somebody who has enjoyed singing to kids for so many years, I imagine that opportunity, really spoke to you. How did you find out about the opportunity to audition and become part of that process for America's Got Talent?
I tried out in 2009, back when things were called cattle calls, which I think they're starting to bring them back, especially in LA. I tried out in 2009 in Chicago at a place called McCormick Place, a huge, huge venue. And I didn't make it past the first round. So I was just like, okay, well, it's a no. So I just move on and keep singing. Um, there's a quote that I said on the show where not everybody gets to do great and amazing and wonderful things. So you do great and wonderful, amazing things where you're at. And I believe that. So I would just sing whenever teachers or staff would come up and ask me to sing at one of the functions for the kids. I would always do it. Usually it was "God Bless USA," but it ended up, the song that finally got me noticed after all these years was "Don't Stop Believing." So, being on the show has been life altering, life changing. but yet in a lot of ways, I'm still at the school. I still do my daily work. Yeah, I may have to take a few extra days off to go and do these great and wonderful concerts, and I'm totally excited to start, that portion of my journey, not to quote a phrase, but my journey after, being on the show and getting to sing for some amazing people across this country. And for an hour and a half, have them sit down and remember things as they were, and, but still check out and say, hey, man, I had a good time with, going to see Mr. Richard.
What a blessing it is, isn't it, to have a job that will allow you to take the time off to pursue that? I know not everyone is that lucky.
No, I had to use all of my time to be on the show, which it's been absolutely amazing. The school corporation I work for, and I've toured around all the local schools too, singing to the kids. And the amazing thing is hearing them sing the words back to me. I'll stop singing and they'll keep singing it. So I'm keeping that music alive. I'm not downing other years of music, but the 70s and 80s and a little bit of the 90s, are amazing music that, would be could be totally forgotten. I mean, there's a reason why Don't Stop Believing is the most popular song in the world, is because it has that catchy rhythm. It has that, thought that, no matter what's going on in your world, don't stop believing, whatever it is that you're grinding for, whatever it is that you're fighting for to do, keep going. Um, yeah, amazing music, amazing people across this country, an amazing time for me. Just, being able to do this on a grand scale. It's just wild.
I remember the janitor that used to take care of my school when I was in elementary. We're talking kindergarten through fifth grade. His name was Mr. Mike. He was a real tall guy, and I had such vivid and fond memories of him. What do you think it is about the role of janitor that endears so many children to you? I just, that role. I think of Mr. Mike like every couple of weeks, I'd say, and I just remember how present he was as a character in that part of my life. What is it about a good school janitor that endears so many children to them?
The thing is, and speaking of the word janitor, I've had conflicting thoughts and comments about, the word, which the reason why I love to be called janitor is because it's an old school term and I'm an old school person. And I think, not just in this day and age, but back when we went to school, when our grandparents went to school, the janitors were the people that kept things nice, neat, clean, tidy. And then, I mean, stop and think about it. Us janitors, us custodians, we are a different kind of breed. We like having fun, but we also do our job and we go home. So I understand where custodians, janitors may influence kids to see things in a bit different light. But it also talks to the character of the person that's doing the job too. So yeah, you have to be almost outgoing to work, during the daytime with the kids and show them the kind of love that they need, because there's some kids out there that don't get that kind of love and attention at home. Whereas, when you're at school, you sit down and talk to them on their level. They love it. They love being heard. They love being talked to.
Yeah, I think there's one aspect of that relationship that gets overlooked sometimes. The fact that kids are worthy of having their thoughts be heard and worthy of that love and that attention. And you're right, there are a lot of kids who don't get that every day. And so to have people like you at a school that, that recognize that, I'm sure they feel just as blessed. Has your life, well, I'm sure your life has changed since all this success. does anyone at the school look at you differently? Like how describe that change to me. I'm sure that you're the same person, but a little bit different to them now that you've had this success. What has that change been like?
Um, I mean, there have been some people that have looked at me differently, but I look at them and say, I'm the same person. I just got lucky to be on TV. And with saying that, that gives them an opportunity to say, I knew him before all this happened, and now I know him after, and he's still the same person. So, I mean, I think people and kids that I work with, they're a bit on. I mean, I'm on a very big learning curve with being uh, a local celebrity. So I think that in some ways they're on a learning curve too. Which now at the school, kids don't look at me as big and famous. I'm just Mr. Richard.
I can imagine that in certain situations, or depending on how you think about it, that can be a blessing to have that. Uh, this sort of grounds you, doesn't it? The fact
It
that
does.
no matter how successful or how popular or how viral you and your talent become, at the end of the day, you're still Mr. Richard to these people. I can imagine that that must feel, um, well, going back to what you said about kids not having that type of love, I think a lot of people in general who
Mm.
run into this sudden fame don't have that sort of tether to the ground. You know what I mean? They don't
Yeah,
have that that ability to be anchored in that way.
right. I get that. I do. I mean, but at the end of the day, I can't. I don't know. I can't imagine myself, not working at the school. But with that being said, if things start picking up, I mean, right now I've only got 5 concerts, two this month and then three in the month of April. If things don't pick up, I'm still here. I'm still me. I don't think of myself as, any more important than the next person. So yeah, just me. But the thing is it's like I've said before, it's about the music and the people. I mean, without those two things, you can sing to an absolutely uh, vacant auditorium, and the thing is people in general they just gravitate towards the music, and so yeah, that's where I'm at.
Sure. And I think the ability to express yourself has potential for inspiration as well. A lot of people, um, and just from my experience, a lot of people wish that they could have that ability to express themselves sort of, freely. And so your ability to do that and also again maintain this regular day-to-day life, I'm sure is a source of inspiration to some people. I think that it's possible to think about having a full-time job and think, oh, I don't have time to improve my voice. I don't have time to practice painting or singing or dancing or any of the things that somebody might do. But to be able to live both lives, I think I would hope inspires some people to go and do the thing that they want to do despite their real world obligations or responsibilities.
Yeah, it's I'm not gonna lie. If I hadn't gotten these opportunities, and if I hadn't jumped on that plane, if I hadn't seized the moment, I mean, I would still be in that mindset where, I work Monday through Friday and I just don't have time to do this or time to do that. You have to, if it's something that you love and you're passionate about, you have to make time. And I know that it may seem odd to people to think, that you have to make time to do these sort of things. If you don't, then if I hadn't have jumped on the plane, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. And there are lots of people that get plane rides to go on the show and don't show up. And I get that too. I mean, it's a lot. It is a lot.
Well, especially auditioning for a show like America's Got Talent. I mean, to be in front of Simon Cowell, who I think is, in the history of this type of TV, probably one of the most challenging people to
Yeah.
audition for. I mean, did you have any nerves going into that? I mean, I'm thinking about just, standing in front of these people that you see on TV all the time, in front of Heidi Klum, in front of Simon. Um, how did you manage those nerves, and how did you get yourself to a point where you were comfortable auditioning in front of these people in that atmosphere?
I was not comfortable. And if you watch the audition video back again, I mean, I encourage you to watch it again. I'm not saying that because I want clicks. I'm just saying I did not want to talk to Simon. Simon was the only judge, and they had asked me in my interviews, like, who's the one judge you don't want to talk to? Like a Nimrod, I said, oh, Simon, of course, because you remember him from his American Idol days. People, leaving the room crying because he was so brutally honest. But if you watch the video again, I was scared out of my wits, but I did it. I walked across that stage. And don't get me wrong, it takes cojones to walk across that stage and put yourself out there. And that's what you're doing. You're putting yourself out there. And if you love it, you're passionate enough about it, and you believe in yourself enough, you can do it. You can pull it off. Because when that music started, I was at home. You could tell I loosened up as soon as that beginning piano riff took off, and people were like, and Don't Stop Believing is one of those songs, either you have it or you don't. And I'm not saying I have it, I'm not being conceited. I'm just saying, uh, with that song, either people are going to turn their head or they're going to just say, okay, well, he's all right. So it takes a lot of guts to walk across that stage. I won't sugarcoat that. I was by myself. I didn't have the money to fly uh, my wife Ange out, so I was by myself. Never been on a plane. Never been west of Missouri. There was a lot of firsts going on in that video, but I did it. I walked across. I still, even when I watched the video again, I can't believe I did all that, but I did it. And anybody who has, the determination to go out there and say, "Here I am," it can do the same exact thing that I did. You just have to set time aside for yourself. And I know it's hard. It is. It's very hard to set time aside for yourself to say, okay, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to do this for an hour a day or even a half hour a day and, work on this skill, something that I love, I like, and I'm passionate about. And it doesn't have to be music. It could be painting, or it could be, hog calling. It don't matter what it is that you're passionate about and you love and you do it with passion, you do it for long enough, and you know, you put yourself out there, you take that plane ride, you're going to make it. And somebody like me, who is just a regular Monday through Friday work, for years and years and years, and still sing on the side and do stuff. You just don't dream that it's possible for you. But this year, trying out for the show is even more poignant. If you've got a passion and you're passionate about it, you think you're good at it, give it a shot. And if they put those plane tickets on your phone or send you plane tickets through the mail, by golly, just take the chance. Take the moment for yourself. And even if you're going to lose 2 or 3 days' pay, I mean, just give it a shot because you never know.
Sure. I think most people will regret not taking the opportunity more than they might regret missing a couple days of work. I think the trade-off is pretty much a no-brainer, isn't it?
It is, but the my music producer on the show, Courtney, the first time she met me on the show behind stage, she was like, "I'm so glad you're here," and I was like, "Well, you guys gave me a plane ticket. Why wouldn't I be here?" And she told me flat out, she's like, "You'd be surprised how many people get a plane ticket on their phone or plane ticket sent to them and not show up." That was pretty wild to me. It was pretty wild because you should always at least want to try to shoot for your dream. And so, yeah, here I am today talking to you.
Absolutely, and it is a pleasure. Um, One of the other concepts that comes about in a lot of these conversations I have for this show is the idea that even making it on the show is, in and of itself, a prize. And I'm thinking about your experience in particular, Richard, because I mean, how many people do you have to beat out in order to even get to that spot where you're auditioning? I mean, there are so many other potential hopeful candidates that you have to beat in order to get there. So they whittle this massive group of people down to a very lucky few, and they even whittle that down, even further.
Yeah.
It has to feel like a victory to even get to that point where you can even be considered, let alone the fact that you got the golden buzzer, let alone the fact that you won the season. But even to make it to that point, I mean, that had to have felt like a victory in and of itself, right?
An amazing victory, and I have another story to tell with that. Another music producer I have on the show, Scott Simon. I was sitting in the back. This is my audition round again. I'm sitting in the back, and I am as green as they come. I mean, in a lot of ways, I'm still green. I mean, I'm learning. I'm kind of like being like a sponge, but I'm back behind in the I don't want to call it green room, but there's a filming area behind the stage that you're sitting in there, a contestants holding area uh, for for that purpose. And I was sitting back there, kind of by myself. I mean, there was a couple other people that were green like me, and you, I talked to Scott when I went down for my music warm up, and I said, man, I feel so out of place because you've got all these professionals, people that have been in Vegas for years, people that have been doing this stuff show wise for years, and I'm just a regular Monday through Friday person, you know, giving it giving it my Hail Mary pass. And I told Scott, I said, I feel like a fish out of water. I said, all these people have got their slick outfits. They're all polished up and they've been doing this for years. And he goes, there's a place on this show for that. And there's also a place on the show for people that are just absolutely just, raw. And he said, Richard, you're raw. And he said, just go out there and give it your all and see what happens. That's all you can ever do on a show. And yeah, look at me now. So yeah, I mean, I think this is, I mean, granted, my year was probably the year for the regular common person, but I think, I hopefully it opens doors for people that think, oh, only, professional acts or people that have been doing this for years can get on there. Not so much. And this year, I would hope that, just me making it as far as I did and what I did and how I did it. I mean, it would prove a point that it's not just about those people that have been doing it for years. It's about, this year I would think it's about the common people that want to try out, that think that they've got something to show, inspire people, uplift people. I think this is the year for the common regular contestant. Honestly, do.
I would agree with that. And, that to me is one of the most inspirational aspects of America's Got Talent in particular, is that it is America's Got Talent. There's they present such a great cross section of this country when they showcase the people that have these talents that want to make it on the show. I mean, it's not just people who are, 18 to 21 years old. It's not just influencers. It's not just people who already, have a following. It's everyday people getting a chance to show off these extraordinary talents. And in terms of TV, I think that, that will always work. That will always be fun to watch. And I mean, again, you are a fantastic example of that. Let's talk again about the judging audition aspect of America's Got Talent. I know that a lot of reality shows and game shows and competition shows aren't necessarily what you see on TV. the process is different and the people are different and the editing does a good job of portraying what the angle or the storyline the producers might want to portray. Tell me about your experience dealing with people like Simon Cowell in person, as opposed to what he might seem like on TV. Was he much different face to face than he was, watching the show on a screen?
Simon came up to me after every single time that I performed on the show, and very, very, he could see that I was green. He could see that, I'm not experienced. But he also said, you know, don't act like that. Go out there and make it look like you've been doing it for years. And I had, but just not on a grand scale like that. But all the people on the show are amazing. I didn't just glean information out of Simon. There was Heidi every single time that I got up there. She come up and hugged me, and she was my number one supporter from the moment that we met on the audition round. And then Howie, I had just performed before him in one of his shows on Saturday night, the 28th of December. Amazing time, amazing man, and sat and talked with him for about an hour in his green room, and just realized how much you don't realize how much you have in common with people until you actually sit down and I love eating dinner with people and talking. And you don't realize how much you have in common with people because you put people on a pedestal, and you don't realize that when they were coming up, they remember, those hard times. They remember working, a job and making a paycheck. And then all of a sudden, you don't necessarily have to worry about money anymore. You just worry about, going out there and doing a good job, making an impression, and performing for people. And then in performing for those people, you give them a moment of respite. You give them a moment of levity. You give them a moment to get away from their Monday through Friday job. And being on the show, so many amazing people behind the scenes that I think I connected better with those people that are setting out the microphones, the people that are teaching you a better way to sing. And there's so many. I mean, there are people for their people. People that teach you how to stand on stage and perform and be more expressive with your body and emotion. So I mean, the show in itself is a well-oiled machine, but yet, as amazing as they are at doing their job, they also absolutely positively care. They do. And that's all I've ever gotten out of the people. Not just the celebrity judges, but the amazing people behind the scenes that make, the show what it is.
It's great to hear that. There are so many stories, I think, of people who participate in shows like this and aren't necessarily treated the best by the people behind the scenes, by the people who are in charge of making sure that the experience is smooth for them. And, a lot of these people, it's their first time on TV. It's their first time in that atmosphere. And so I think you need to have a solid system of people around you that will reassure you, that will make you feel comfortable, that will, it's almost like preparing for surgery in a way, right? You get these people that come in and, each of them will tell you their role and what they're going to do and what's happening next. That's, I think, is very beneficial for somebody who's at the beginning of this journey to have. And talking about the conversations that you had with people who had a similar background as you, similar in that they were once, a workaday, like you say, a Monday through Friday person, and now they have this fame and this success and this notoriety. Do you get advice from people like that as you're talking to them? Do you gather bits of information about them, or do they give you advice? As somebody who, again, is at the beginning of this professional journey.
Right. Yeah. I talk to people all the time, and I with each person I take something away from each interaction, and that's not just the regular people that I talk to every day. That's the people who come up and approach me, and they'll tell me why they liked my performance, why, what they took away from it. And I mean, there's reaction videos on YouTube that if you punch in my name and say reaction, and you just watch, especially the audition round, which they can edit. I mean, that initial round, it was like 3 days worth of filming edited down. I had no idea how they were going to portray me in the show, and when I got to see it, I was just like, no, I was in half tears myself. So yeah, but everybody I talk to, I take something away from each interaction that I do. Um, but the thing is, with me, I'm still the same person. I got to be on TV. That's all.
It's admirable that you see this, just like, oh, I got to be on TV. Some people, that's the beginning for them, and they crave other opportunities, and they look for other ways to get that exposure, and it really turns them into a different person. And again, I think that there's some inspiration to take from a person like you, who again has this talent, but also has this desire to still be the same person. Fame changes people, and it's easy to see in a lot of people who, again, were, back in the day of a kind of blue collar, working man, working woman, and they get this fame, and they forget their roots, and they forget where they came from. They forget that there are, not to overuse a phrase, but there are little people who help them become the big people that they are now. So to hear that you still have that connection is just, I hope that people listening take some inspiration from that.
Yeah, and thank you. But I don't know any other way. And as far as expectations, I just don't. Whatever is submitted, I'm thoroughly happy that I get to go and give people, even an hour and a half of moment where they can just breathe. They don't have to think about their day-to-day stuff. And so, no, I don't think I'm any better or any worse than anyone else in this world. And I'm thoroughly happy and grateful for any and all the opportunities that have come my way the past year. I can't imagine 2025 being better than 2024, but I did some pretty amazing things in 2024. So I don't know.
It's a high score to beat. Absolutely.
It is, yeah.
In 2.5 years of doing this show, you are the first guest I've ever had who's performed with Journey. Tell me what that was like. Tell me what it was like meeting the people who originated your audition song. Tell me what it was like performing that song with them. That must have been, surreal is probably an understatement.
Yeah, that's the only word that can touch it, is surreal. Just before I sang Faithfully, you've seen the video where just before I sang Faithfully, they did the montage of me being on the show,
right?
And then at the end of it, there stands Neil Sean, who is a I don't want to use the word rock god, but yet, as music standards go, he is one of the best guitar players I've ever heard in my life. And
sure.
Between him and Greg Raleigh, Steve Perry, and Jonathan Cain creating this music, just, wow. And the thing is when they were coming up, before they became famous, they were just writing stuff that was from the heart. And there's certain human beings in this world that create stuff, that when they get together, they make magic. And then when they try to do it by themselves, nothing happens. So with that being said, performing with the actual band, surreal. And any and of all the people that I met on the show and the people that I've met after the show, just surreal. That's the only word that can absolutely touch it. I had an amazing time for New Year's Eve. It was a private gig, but my gosh, I can't imagine topping anything that happened last year. but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, as hard as it was to predict how 2024 went for you, I mean, I'm sure this tip of the iceberg compared to what's coming down. But I hope so. I hope that's the tip of the iceberg compared to what's coming down the pike for you, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
But no expectations.
Sure. That's the way to do it. My wife says it's not real until the money's on the table. Anything can happen.
Absolutely correct. It is. It's correct.
Tell Us About Yourself. Conversations with Game Show Contestants is hosted, produced, and edited by me, Christian Carrion, from my studio in beautiful downtown Lancaster City, Pennsylvania. Co-executive producer Cory Anotado. Researcher Chuck Donegan. This has been a production of BuzzerBlog, the most popular game show website in the world, in partnership with the National Archives of Game Show History at the Strong National Museum of Play in Rochester, New York. For more information, visit museumofplay.org. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Christian Carrion. Good night. Tell Us About Yourself is sponsored by bonusround.ca, streaming Canada's classic game shows on demand. Dive into the golden age of television with thousands of episodes of Canadian series that defined an era from anywhere in the world, all for just $1.99 a month. From iconic shows like Let's Make a Deal and Definition to cult classics like Bumper Stumpers and The Mad Dash, bonusround.ca brings you timeless entertainment that's fun, enlightening, and affordable. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, relive the magic of Canadian television history. Subscribe now at bonusround.ca for $1.99, download the free Bonus Round app on iOS, Android, and Roku, and turn every night into game show night. And by The Inn at Leola Village. Nestled in the heart of picturesque Pennsylvania, The Inn at Leola Village is a sanctuary of luxury and relaxation. Indulge in the timeless beauty of their historic suites, each meticulously designed to transport you to a bygone era of elegance and grace. Experience the culinary delights of their award-winning Italian restaurant, where every dish is a masterpiece crafted from the finest local ingredients. From romantic getaways to corporate retreats, the Inn at Leola Village offers a haven for every occasion. Unwind at the spa, stroll through the lush gardens, and let the stress of everyday life melt away. Make your reservation today at theinnatleolavillage.com or call the front desk at area code 717-656-7002. The Inn at Leola Village, an oasis of luxury.